Namaste. Welcome and greetings. I am Magick. It's gonna stop a virus. No. This
Got y'all listening now. Some witchcraft for that ass. Too late to turn away. Abracadabra and all that good shit. Yo. Hocus pocus, got you focused on my rhyme. Simply easy, now I'm eating couch potatoes, I recline. No, I'm joking as I'm toking power puffs and pokey-okes. Till my town and villa filled with ganja smoke, you know the dope. Coming out my pipes, talking about the bones in my throat. With the mic, I'm casting curses every night, you know the scope. Got my spells handy. You may call it the phone, but when I'm done reciting, you'll give me the keys to the throne. Then I take my keys to go home. Didn't say I was done. While rush to end it all, it feels amazing to have won. I'm not planning to ball, but why not take the chance to stunt? No, I don't need it all. Can thank for thing I don't want. Do I worship the sun, or sold my soul for the tongue, or death since I was young, or got some voodoo done?
Namaste. Namastizzle. Peace and many blessings. Greetings, shalom, what's up? Hopefully y'all are having a great day today. The weekend is almost here. I am the one and only, the only one, Magick. Today's Thursday, day of prosperity and abundance. So hopefully y'all are getting those rituals, spells in, or whatever the colors are, either blue or purple. You know what I mean? We had a couple days of rain last week, but it now is back to being extremely hot in the great state of Texas. This year of 2025 is almost over with. Can you believe that? It flew by. You know what I'm saying? We only have, what, 4 more months until Halloween. Is it 4 or 3? August, September. 3 more months, and then Halloween is here. The most wonderful time of the year. Peace to my missus. Namaste. Day of Jupiter. Happy Jove Day. Yes, you about the only one that I know that knows that particular name. But happy Jove Day. Yes, indeed. The Motown Witch. What's going on? You crossed my mind today when I saw one of your memes. And I was like, oh, we got to get her back on here. You know, what's up to the Motown Witch? Peace, 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 peace. What's up, Nikki Love? Good to see you. Peace and blessings, Legacy Sigma. Magick's time. Sup, old man? So, I got called old man today. Okay. So, what's up to the princess? I'm an old man now, I guess. All righty. Okay. Yeah. Old. Anyway, y'all remember the actor who was in the 5 Heartbeats? He was in Speed. He's been in a lot of things, but I didn't realize that he said this, and this has to be pretty recent because it's on Willie D's podcast. He said this.
TV, the new stuff. I watched The Rockford Files. I watched Perry Mason. I watched cooking shows. I watched HGTV because I can't watch this new stuff because it's pure propaganda to me. It's teaching you how to be perverted. I can't watch it. When you try and sell something to Hollywood nowadays, they always say, "Where's the gay character?" If you don't have one in there, you have to put one in there. And if you don't, they reject your show. And that's fact.
I didn't know that. I'm not surprised. You know what I'm saying? I'm so not surprised. Imhotep, what's the deal? What's going on? Hey, love you too, princess, always. Yeah, you can't be surprised. And if you speak out about it, of course, you're going to be labeled a phobic person or whatever, you know. Also recently, by the way, before I get to this next clip, They said in Hollywood propaganda by Mark Dice, this is what they would be doing. So they're not going to stop. You know what I mean? It's not going to stop. Okay. They outlined their whole agenda. But anyway, this also happened. You know what I mean? Apparently this was at a basketball game and this happened. Check this out.
Land of the free and the home of the what? A stunt like this would have you in prison for life or at the end of your life in at least 60 countries. But in America, you get an applause, clout, and to go viral on Instagram. Don't ever tell me that we live in an oppressive, homophobic country when we have Snoop Doggy Style remixing the national anthem. Land of the free.
So anyway, yeah, my office hours are 9 to 5. Yep, that's him. That's him. And he said this too. So it ain't gonna stop, especially since you got Negroes willing to do anything for money. It's not gonna stop. I don't see it stopping. I really don't. So it is what it is. What's up, Moonchild? What's the deal? You know what I'm saying? All right, exactly. When I saw it, I was like, are you kidding me? And you heard how loud the applause was. So it's like a psych op when it comes to Hollywood movies. They calling Superman woke. There's some psych ops going. They just like I said, and I don't claim to be some kind of psychic. Well, I am sort of, but it ain't like you need to be psychic to know what's actually going on. It's going to continue, and it just was. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Dora Pauls, right? Peace, Chikezi. What's the deal? What's the deal? Yes. What can you do? Ain't nothing you can do. But anyway, we was talking about using magic in different ways, and last Tuesday we was talking about spells from the Bible. You know, there are people who don't want to totally get into the occult realm, and so they stick with Christianity, and which is perfectly fine, because in so many different ways you can learn how to do magic, you know. So where were we? We were at the book called Bible Spells, I believe. Let's see. Yes, Bible Spells. That's where we were at last we spoke. And I didn't really get into, or I didn't get really far into it. All right. But I wanted to share my screen so I could share my highlighted points here. Many so-called good Christians will be horrified to know that common Christian rituals will be considered magic by their overly, am I missing something here? Overly broad definitions. In fact, the Bible has been used for magical purposes for centuries by people who would never consider themselves as practitioners of magic. Others, however, have fully realized that Bible magic fits within the constraints of sorcery and have kept the truth to themselves, allowing immediate family to learn the age-old practice. Using the Bible for magical purposes is loosely known today as hoodoo, conjuring, granny, or folk magic. I don't think I've ever heard the term granny magic, but okay. The practice can be simple or highly complicated and involves the recital of psalms and selected biblical verses for magical purposes according to Jewish and Christian magical traditions. Okay. Can you explain how you got the name Magick LaCroix and what it means? I've explained this several times, and it's just I named myself. It's just my online persona, so to speak. I'm a practicer of magic. I am a ceremonial magician, a sorcerer. Okay. So La Croix means the cross or crossroads in French, right? So magic of the crossroads, if you was to break my name down in English or into English. And the reason I say that is because I got one foot in the magical world, in the spiritual world, and one foot in the mundane world, which is why some of the times when I go live here, I show mundane bullshit, so to speak. That's what it means, period. Speaking of your name, I was just learning about the Barons and the Bawan. Oh, yeah. Legacy Sigma. Also, that's one of Baron Samedi's titles, LaCroix. I know I said this recently, but okay, we'll go over it again. That's one of his names, Baron LaCroix. Also, one of the, in my opinion, one of the best magicians, his name was LaCroix. Basil LaCroix or Basil Crouch. I teach some of my classes, I teach out of his books. He was a London occultist. Very few people know about him. So I took the LaCroix part, added it to my name, because before this rendition of the Magick name, it was Magick Tenebra, 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 which is Latin for magic of darkness. Tenebra means darkness. And the reason I had that name was when I was with the Michael Ford order and learning Luciferianism. And there you go. Is self-initiation possible? Is it wiser to find a teacher? Yes, it's possible. And it depends on what system you're trying to learn. I always say find a mentor, find a teacher. Although I'm over 500 videos now, just use a search function on my channel. Put in either mentor or something like that. And go over my older videos, please. And I explain why I think it's, good to have a mentor. Divine Peace, Caribbean Grimoire. How are you, brother? All right. Back to what we were talking about, though. Bible spells. It's a great book. Let's go back to where we at. Yeah, let's see. We here. Here. All right. Here is a good song. Here's a good spell right here to make your home lucky. You just say Psalm 61. When you're about to take possession of a new dwelling, repeat this psalm just before moving in, and with a suitable prayer, trusting in the name of Shaddai, and you will experience blessing and good fortune. Psalm 21. Are you compelled to travel alone by night? Pray the psalm reverently 7 times, and you will be safe from all accidents and evil occurrences. Like I said, this is a good book. It is by William Alexander Orebello. Obtain your every desire by activating the secret meaning of hundreds of biblical verses. Candle burning, crystal, and incense spells from the Holy Scriptures. Got tongue-tied for a second. Okay. He also did a DVD lecture. It was called Get Rich Quick Spells. Okay. Get Rich quick spells. I think I have it up. I think I have it ready to go. I'm not sure. Give me 1 second. I want to show a little clip of that. Anyway, it is dope to learn, Andreas. It is really good to learn magic in all its forms. I always stress and I suggest learning from the ground up. But that's just me.
Seminar on the magical use of herb.
Okay. And this is William Oribello in his I don't know what year this was made. I'm not sure, but I can't show much of it.
Potions and oils, and we're glad to be here in New York City doing this seminar for Interlight Publications. Many people have asked me, as they advance in thinking in the New Age, why do people believe in the magic power of herbs, potions, magical charms, amulets, and so forth? As people advance in thinking, they are prone to think that these items and articles are mere superstitions. They say in their state of advanced thinking, how can such objects as plants, stones, herbs, and so forth have magical power when I can just use the power of my mind? While it is true that we can just use the power of our mind, we must also realize that the divine being, God, universal mind, placed within everything in the creative scheme certain virtues and powers, and this I will explain in just a moment. Also, we must realize that there are properties within various things, and this came about in the far distant past when the creation came forth. We are told in the Holy Bible and other sacred scriptures that God created everything there was in 6 days and 6 nights and rested on the 7th. However, the 6 days of creation are not 24-hour days as we know them. There are cosmic days and cosmic nights. And
all right, so I'm not going to show a lot of that. Thanks for the assist, Moonchild. I did not know that. I appreciate you. Thank you. I really didn't know that. Still, I got to do the copyright thing. You know what I mean? I got to be careful about what I do there. Anna Reva's Powers of the Psalms is a must. I also teach out of her books as well in my classes. Halloween this year is on a Friday. Are there certain days when magic is more powerful? Yes, sir. There are. I remember that video. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Katrina? Namaste. Peace, peace, peace. I just got finished showing your video on the national anthem. So, yeah. He also said something else that I wanted to point y'all attention to. It's around... yes. Buckeye ritual. Perfect for today. He does this one.
Is not unlucky. It is the symbol of Christ and the 12 apostles, of Jacob and the 12 tribes of Israel. Above the head of the eagle are 13 stars. On the pyramid are 13 steps or layers of masonry. And at the top is the immortal Egyptian symbol of the eye of the Lord. Also, in many of the words on the Great Seal of the United States, you'll notice there are 13 letters to the words. So there is much symbolism in this. You take the dollar bill, place it in your hand flat, and you place the buckeye right there on the face of George Washington, and you begin to fold the money around the buckeye. Again, if anyone should have forgotten, this is called the money magnet. Again, you fold to your left side or towards you, because this is symbolic of receiving the blessing. We receive vibrations from the left side. So after we have folded the dollar bill around the buckeye, what you would do is take a piece of Scotch tape and you tape it all the way around so that it will hold. And then you take some of the oil that you have blessed. Now, after you've blessed the oil and the salt, what you should do is keep it in a safe place. Don't tell other people what you are doing unless they are a very close friend who is into this same type of work. Otherwise, if people know too much about your business, they can hinder you out of jealousy and envy. There are many people who are negative, so you want to keep your work a secret as much as possible.
And in the age of social media, nothing is secret. I've seen people show their altar spaces and everything that they're doing. Look at me, look at me, look at me. People just don't know how to keep things to themselves. I just saw a video with Meg Thee Stallion and Klay Thompson, and you know, nothing is sacred, nothing is secret. That's a step up from use of tangible items for magic. I started with tangible work before elevating to mind work. Occult. Understood. But it's simple. It's real simple stuff. You know what I mean? Just in case, like I'm always saying, you don't want to go too deep into it, which a lot of people still don't. Anna Riva books are occult classes. Every Botanica sold them. Yes, indeed. All of her books are classic. All meat and potatoes, too. I just seen that, too, that video of Megan. Yeah. Who else but Katrina sent it to me. Shout out to Trina. Trina keeps me up on all the shit that's going on. It's right here. It is right here. I'm like, okay.
Okay, I'm opening up Labubus that my man got me. I hope that my Labubus is not haunted, because I heard y'all was saying that Labubus was haunted on TikTok. Bitch, you lying hoe. My Labubu better not be haunted, bitch, or I'm sending that hoe to hell. I'm sending that hoe straight where it came from. But I'm too blessed for my Labubus to be haunted. Look at those teeth. Look at that face. Gosh, baby. Okay,
I mean, there are 76,252 likes on this comment, on this one video of nothing, of absolutely nothing. Her showing her Labubus, whatever a Labubu is. And he's in the back grabbing on her ass, and it's just like, so fucking what, man? Yeah, exactly. Why she half naked? Obviously, they getting into some adult shit, but nothing is private. Nothing. Everything has to be said. I know someone who just bought a new car, and then they put on social media, they just snapping pictures of the insides of their car. Like, you know what I mean? There's a book I just came across. Guess what the title is? This is the title. I want to know what the title is. Let me just show it to you. I thought this was very relevant. I'm going to put this book in Patreon. Check this out. What did that say? The Power of Keeping Your Mouth Shut. Shut the fuck up. In an endlessly noisy world. This is a New York Times best-selling author. All right. That's the title. Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Shut the fuck up. Let's go to it. I'm going to show some highlights of this particular book. Let me see if I can get to it. Here we go. I got it, y'all. I got it. I totally got it. I'm telling you it's a friend, so please don't take it the wrong way. But I want you to shut the fuck up. Not for my sake, for yours. Learning to shut the fuck up will change your life. It will make you smarter, more likable, more creative, and more powerful. It might even help you live longer. People who talk less are more likely to get promoted at work and more likely to prevail in negotiations. Speaking with intention, that is not just blurting things out, improves our relationships, makes us better parents, and can boost our psychological and even physical well-being. A few years ago, researchers at the University of Arizona discovered that people who spend less time blabbing and devote more time to substantive conversations are happier than everyone else. So much so that having good conversations, they wrote, might be a key ingredient to a satisfied life. Shutting the fuck up. Labubu is Pazuzu. Okay. Them diesel voices, real. I know, right? And that's why I hate when Nicki Minaj talks, and she irks the shit out of me. But you know, Ani actually broke it down. Okay. I'm gonna have to find that wherever he did that at. That's righteous model. Do you make your own wands and brooms? No, I don't. Book title cracks you up. You think that cracks you up? The contents of that particular book, I ain't even show in, half of it. 5 ways to shut the fuck up. Shutting up should be the easiest thing in the world. All you have to do is nothing, right? But in fact, not talking requires a lot of concentration. It's probably more difficult than talking. Have you ever spent time in a foreign country where you speak a little of the local language, but not well enough for it to feel natural? So that in every conversation, even simple ones, your brain is constantly working overtime to translate from the local language to your native tongue and then back again. By the end of the day, you're exhausted. That's what it feels like at first when you start concentrating on the way you speak. It's draining. For an overtalker like me, it can be almost painful. The trick is to start slow. Instead of making one big change, you make a bunch of little ones. I approach shut the fuck up as a daily practice, like meditation or yoga. Just as with meditation, we force ourselves to become conscious of our breathing. I force myself to become conscious of how I am speaking. I lower my voice, slow my cadence, and take long pauses. When possible, say nothing. Here's 5 ways, though. You master the power of the pause. Y'all know I've mastered the Dora pause. Quit social media. How many people are going to be able to do that one? The first cousin of over talking is over tweeting, and it's almost impossible not to fall into the trap. Platforms like Facebook and Twitter are designed to get you addicted. If you can't quit completely, at least dial it way back. Seek out silence. Noise makes us sick, literally. Information overload makes us constantly agitated and overstimulated, which leads to health problems and can even shorten our lives. Detach, unplug, spend time without your phone. Don't talk, don't read, don't watch, don't listen. Giving your brain a rest can kickstart your creativity and make you healthier and more productive. Research suggests silence might even help us grow brain cells. And then learn how to listen. Being a great listener is considered such an important business skill that CEOs go to boot camps to learn how to do it. And it's hard work. because listening should be an active endeavor rather than a passive one. Instead of just hearing someone, active listening means blocking out everything else and paying fierce attention to what the other person is saying. Nothing makes people happier than the feeling of being authentically heard and seen. Did you put that? I think you asked me that the last time. No, I haven't. I promise before the end of the week, I will find a way to put that on the site. At least with these artists like Nicki, Megan Thee Stallion twerking in silence must be mandatory. Right. Twerking in silence. I like that. All right. So, but back to shutting the fuck up, doing simple magic to get started, you know, stuff like song magic. That's what we was talking about. That's what we was talking about earlier, you know, making use of the songs, making use of hoodoo. Okay. I actually did a video 3 years ago talking about this very subject. All right. Powers of the song. I actually did like a string of them. I did a couple videos talking about sonic magic, like this one.
Okay. All right. To gain favor.
To gain
what
favor.
The psalm is for. Okay. Say the psalm 7 times over in the night over olive oil. Anoint your hands and feet. And that's it. This is just to gain favor. So if you are gaining favor on something, it's going to be usually manifest like in business, and at your job, you know, among your friends, among your peers, whatever. But usually it's a general favor. Okay. Psalm number 2. Okay. Speak the psalm 7 times at night over olive oil. Okay. And here is the name that you use. Remember, you think of a particular name. Shaddai. That's how you say that. Shaddai. SHAD/EYE. Shaddai. That's how you say that. Okay. This is one of the names of God. It means Almighty One. Okay. Shaddai. Once you do that, once you say the psalm 7 times, then you say this prayer. May it be thy holy and benevolent will to stop the rage of the storm and booming of the waves and let them calm down. O benevolent Father, bring us safely to our destination, for only thou hast the power and might to help us, and thou wilt do so to honor thy holy name. Amen. Selah. Okay. This is against a storm at sea, but you can use it for, of course, another purpose. I mean, who's going to be out? I mean, in older times, they sailed a lot, you know. So that's what they would say that song for. But again, you use it to gain favor. Okay.
Again, I did this 3 years ago, and I can't believe it's been that long. You know, for those who, like I said, don't want to go too deep into it. There's still people out here who just really don't want to do that. What I think about Dr. Malachi Z. York is that you take information from everywhere. All right. Anybody who is come to our defense, melanated people's defense, that has valuable information and try to teach us as to who we are, the knowledge of ourselves and galactic knowledge, they find ways to tarnish their images. Anyone who can help us in any kind of way, and I mean any kind of way, you know what I mean? You got to think all knowledge that can help us has been hidden. You see what I'm saying? I hate that Azazel Bay's website is gone because he has so much information on there. She passed away, Dr. Mona Harris. This was an important lecture. It is very, very important. about the role of water and how it helps your brain and your overall health. Okay. Azazel Bay has so much damn information, and I hate that it's gone. I really do. Here's another one called Street Combat. Okay. Willie the Bam Johnson made this. This could be very useful to somebody. You know, this is just the tip of the iceberg on what he had on his site. Burn was about, this movie was banned here. This was about a slave revolt. Okay. You can barely find information anywhere. All right. They would rather you watch Roots and you stay in your place. But this one, this could give you some ideas about rebellion. It was banned here. It's called Burn. Banned. Why is a slave revolt movie banned? So, to answer your question, I don't look at what people have done in their personal lives. If the information is useful, I will take it. You take what you need, you throw the rest away. Get out your feelings about that person's personal life. You don't know them. You only know what they want you to know. Okay? There are certain things that can't be excused, however, so you have to keep that in mind also. But if it's information that you can use, then use it. See what I'm saying? I hope that answers your question. What's up, Tosh? How is it going in Chicago? Are there any teas to drink to increase power of your intuition? Do a Google search. I'm sure there are. What's up, Zo Boy? What's going on? Obia practitioners have some crazy ways to use the Psalms from the Bible. The Obia Bible got Psalms in there. Yes, you're absolutely correct. Another book that's been banned. That one's banned in Jamaica. Okay. Crazy to think it's nutrition saying don't drink water and not to drink, but so much water. Anything that's helpful for you, you know, you should know this by now. I'm not saying anyone here in particular. I'm just saying overall, you should know this, that they're going to ban anything that's going to help you and help liberate you. You know what I mean? It's a shame, but it is what it is. Okay. Now, I was talking about Psalm Magic and get rich spells. Okay. I had no idea. And all the videos that I just showed you came from Azazel's site, including the Get Rich Quick Spells by William Orabello. I had no idea that it was on YouTube. Thanks, Moonchild. And how to get rich quick. Right here. It's right here. And I hate that I paid for this shit. You know what I mean? It's right here on YouTube. How to get rich quick. Yep. Here.
A lot of time. This would ensure magically that his presence would be close to his wife, even though he was miles away.
So much for that. Act like I was showing y'all something, and the shit is on YouTube. So, yeah. Your win in court spell just helped me out on Monday. Great. I'm glad that it did. I really am. I think I had another one for y'all. I think, let's see. Let me see. It'll come to me, but I think I might have one. Let's see. Maybe not, Zo Boy, but I'm glad it worked for you. I had some more information from the Bible spells books, but we'll get back. Well, I'll come back to it. I will come back to it. I promise. The 6 and 7 books of Moses are the staple of the Beer and Voodoo. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The so-called elites, they use that book. You know what I mean? They use that one. Where does it originate from? That one I couldn't tell you. I don't know where they originate from. I used to know that off the top of my head. I really did, but I can't remember. I really can't remember. And remember, I always say, if I don't know something, I will come back and, I'll come back at a later time. But I'm not going to speak and I'm not going to guess about, oh, thanks to the missus. She's right. Chamomile, lavender, and blue lotus. But I think he was talking about to purchase, unless I'm mistaken. I thought he was asking about intuition teas. Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah. Again, the Bible Spells book has even more information that we all should be aware of. Like, I'm always talking about the Gnostics and Gnostic magic. It's one of my favorites also. In the book of Abrasics, okay? Like right here. This is information from that Bible Spells, but yeah, I think I will put it in Patreon. All right. Christian magical practices are directly descended from the mystery schools that were prevalent in ancient Egypt and Greece. In general, the classical philosophers looked down on magic and its practitioners, but the popular Greco-Egyptian philosophy of the Hermetic corpus contains magical elements, even at the purging by the Byzantine Tradents and the later Neoplatonists, such as Plotinus, renamed their magical practices theurgy and distinguished them from common magic. Okay. While most of the inner rites and doctrines of the mystery schools have remained secret, their fundamental aim was never a mystery: the enlightenment and spiritual regeneration of humanity. Nor has the tradition's basic teachings, the divine source within, the universal brotherhood of life, altruism, and the inherent respect, consideration, and truthfulness due all beings, has ever been held back from public knowledge. It is also taught that we as self-aware humans are fully and individually responsible for our thoughts and actions, both in our physical body and after its death, that our real being is life, and that we are therefore the immortal craftsmen of our own destiny through the eternities. We reap what we sow. No God or priest, savior or master can alter that. A true mystery school is a spiritual system that can take an individual wherever he or she is in present through all of the steps to enlightenment and ascension. Okay? Most of the Greek and Egyptian mystery schools believed that their teachings were handed down from one or more ancient civilizations that were lost in antiquity. The Egyptian, Greek, and Eleusinian schools especially taught that their secret knowledge had been brought to them by priests who had escaped from Atlantis before it was destroyed. Others referred to the land of Hyperborea as the source of their great knowledge. Okay, let us continue. In the case of Hermeticism, Egyptian mythology was used in ceremonies practiced by the mystery schools at certain times of the year and initiations of members into various grades of access to their knowledge. It is said that both Plato and Moses was initiated into the Egyptian mystery schools in one of the subterranean halls of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Using the mysteries taught by the Atlantean priests, Egyptian mystics could levitate, yes, handle fire, live underwater, sustain great pressure, harmlessly suffer mutilization, read the past, foretell the future, make themselves invisible, and cure disease. According to the historian Proclus, the initiating priests so fully understood the mutual sympathy between the visible and invisible worlds that they were able to change the course of action and focus divine virtues upon inferior natures. The Egyptian priests taught that the visible and the invisible, or the seen and unseen, together constitute nature. Nature is as much an invisible world as it is an visible world. They recognize that the divine plan, which underlies the world of time, space, and causation, cannot be accessed in a macrocosm, but is available in a microcosm, which was an internalization of faculties. Okay. The ancient Egyptians believed that in remote antiquity, gods had been with men. The deities and divine powers had walked the earth. This may be regarded as symbolical. However, it could be that in remote times, humans were naturally mystical, possessing powers of extrasensory perception, and could communicate, understand, estimate, and react to the divine principles upon which the universe is based. What does it mean when a lion is chasing you in a dream? You will have to consult a dream book. Okay. I suggest the Rosicrucian dream book and cross-reference it with other modern day dream books. I've never claimed to be an interpreter of dreams. Been in your teaching bag. Thank you. Just got home. Oh, thanks. What's up, Sister Righteous? What's up, Angelus Carter? I would not mind levitating and knowing the future. Right. Exactly. Me too. Shit. You have Obeah practitioners that catches furnitures and houses on fire using the 6 or 7 books of Moses. Black magic. I have seen some things. Psalms can be very dangerous if you know how to. Indeed. And don't forget, there's also sex magic. Even if you don't want to go, deep, sex magic is out there. You know what I mean? I think more people need to study up on Pascal Beverly Randolph. Don't forget that this is out here. This is right here on YouTube. Seer
created his detachment of an all-black regiment, and they went out down there and was giving them crackers hell on the battlefield, like killing mad at them, So again, this guy was a doctor. He was an occultist. He was a medium. He was a writer. He was a spiritualist. He was a soldier. Okay. He was a translator. And a teacher. All by, I think he's like maybe 30 at this age. Now he done all of this stuff. So he gets all of this stuff popping. And right around the time of the Civil War, when it started really getting hot for Lincoln, he got approached by another guy who was friends with the Duke of Italy. I believe he was Charles III, Charles Napoleon. But whoever the guy was, he was descended from Napoleon. He was like Napoleon's great grandson or something. And this guy was deeply impressed with Randolph. And Randolph, who had traveled in a lot amongst the spiritual circles at the time, there were like a bunch of different people that were doing spiritualism at the time. There was a guy named John Murray Spear, right? He existed between, let's say, 1804, 1887. He was really big with getting people to go up on different type of rituals to get into the spirit world, because the ritual was the way that the spirits identify with the purpose of the practitioner. So he was really into that. There was another guy. There was a woman, I forget her name though, and she was really big. It'll come to me. But she was a Caucasian woman, but she was really deep in spiritualism. This way before Blavatsky. Anyway,
way before
he
Blavatsky.
decided after he did his little tour in the war and he seen that the Freedom Bureau was coming to kind of a close, a climax, he decided to wait out the rest of the war. So while Lincoln was going through all his changes or whatever and going through his great bouts of depression, Randolph was his spiritual advisor and guide to help him get up out of that type of stuff. So a lot of the things that Lincoln was doing, at certain points, people would say that Lincoln and Randolph were attached to the hip. And a lot of the crackers that were dealing with their little fake occultism shit didn't want Lincoln to be down with that, because they knew that this was going to keep them from further invaginating themselves into the infrastructure of what we now today call American life. So Randolph basically decided to be like, you know, almost like his spiritual guru. And he became that for a bunch of different people that was around at the time. Rockefeller sought him out, you know, from Standard Oil. What's his name? Elihu Yale. You know, he was kind of on his joint too. The dude who set up the Skull and Bones thing. I'm sorry, I thought I heard Indian drums.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So while this is going on, Randolph gets invited to do another tour of Europe. So he says, cool, I'm going to do it. So right when he bounced, that's when they killed Lincoln. And once they killed Lincoln, that's when Hannibal basically became president. But then they basically got him out of there because he was way too dark. And then they tried to get other people in to follow suit. So while he was on tour in Europe, this is when he basically met one of the grandmasters of the Rosicrucians at the time. And this grandmaster was so impressed by him, the fact that Randolph was what we would consider an adept. An adept is somebody who doesn't have to get initiated.
Listen.
A lot of people think when you deal with the occult or masonry or Freemasonry, that you got to be initiated into doing that. Now, there's two types of initiation. There's the initiation of the entered apprentice, and then there's the initiation of the adept. The adept does not have to be initiated by anybody else because he is initiated by his life experience. The entered apprentice initiation is those people that feel that they have to go through and be initiated by another man to allow them to receive knowledge in the form of degrees.
Right.
Now,
exactly. And then I addressed it a couple years ago. Not a couple years ago, like 8 years ago. I think I said this in this particular. You can see how short my hair is.
It takes resources. It takes a lot of reading. You have to eventually, y'all gonna have to get your feet wet. It's gonna just have to happen. Experience, not dogma. Experience. And what matters most is results. And that's what people are looking for. Experience trumps all licenses. It trumps most things. When you have years of experience and you've gone through the good and the bad, that will trump anybody initiation. Now, I want to get a shout out to the brother Bokor Elmira. And if I mispronounce your name, brother, just know that it wasn't intentional. But he broke it down in one of his last videos that I seen recently about initiation. He broke it completely down, and I applaud the brother. So check his video out. I'm not sure what the title is, but he broke that initiation shit down perfectly. Shout out to Bokor and like I said, experience trumps most things, most licenses. When you start to get fucked up, and I don't mean in a negative way. What I mean, the energy drains that I've experienced before, the weird happenings, the getting drunk. Yeah, getting drunk. Some spirits, they like rum. Why do you think they call a wine and spirits shop? Those things have spirits in them. So they like to consume things. So when you take on their characteristics, give you a good example, Ogun. Ogun likes to drink. So I've heard of people indulging and then they'll keep indulging and end up drunk.
That has happened to me, fucking with Papa Legba, ending up drunk, like really drunk. You know what I mean? Yeah, so experiences. But I always say at the same time, you'll hear me say that you know, initiations are some people's paths, though. Some people need to go through that to get their learning from. Okay. What Asir was talking about as far as Pascal Beverly Randolph, and he has a really good book. I wasn't being funny when I directed it to you, but that has a lot of answers as far as dreams are concerned. I can only go off my own. I've never really been interested in dream interpretation, only when it relates to me. Okay. And so everybody is different. And I'm not trying to blow you off. You know, I'm not trying to not give you an answer. It's just that's not my forte, dream interpretation. So I found another book that came out in 1971. All right, that's how old this book is. And it's talking about sex magic, right? Sex magic is so powerful, you know. And I don't know a single soul or a single practitioner who uses it as their main practice. But this book has some great information in it, but someone's not mentioned in it. All right. Let's see. We owe a lot as far as occultism, Western occultism, to Pascal Beverly Randolph. We owe a lot to that man. All right. I hate to see that he still has not got his just due as far as magic, period. Got me? Magic, period. I found this book called A Manual of Sex Magic. There are those who will find this manual to be insufficiently titillating or pornographic, while on the other hand, there will be those for whom the sexual content is out of bounds for what they falsely regard as normal and moral. It is regrettable that there can be no happy medium which will satisfy both sides. Unfortunately, this is impossible. There will be others who are astute enough to treasure this manual as a real, I don't even know how to pronounce that word, a real something of authentic sex magic, but they will not perform the practices as given herein. For this, it is regrettable also. It is to those who will be inspired to follow out the practices that I finally address this work. It is sufficient that they aspire to self-transcendence. They need no 7-year itch of the intellect to stimulate the mind to discover why and how sex magic works. It is the result of sincere and regular practice that counts. In stating that the real secrets of the contents of this manual have been closely guarded for many centuries, and that this is the first time they have been revealed in print, admittedly poses two questions. Why are they now being revealed? How does it happen that the author breaks the oath of secrecy and reveals all? We're not concerned with that. All right. There are many who insist upon evaluating various magical practices and philosophy by such things as is antiquity. Therefore, a brief history of Western sex magic, which has been practiced by high initiates for a known period of 1,000 years to this present day, is well advised. Ugh. Contrary to popular notion, the only time of outright war during the Crusades was in the time of Saladin, 1174 to 1193, Sultan of Syria, who determinedly fought the Crusaders. Even in his time, there were periods of truce with one order, the more civilized Knights Templar order. And at times there was even fraternizing with the enemy Arabs. Many of the Templars of higher rank, the initiated in the then very secret Arabian order, the Sufis. And you know who those were. They thus became initiated members of the sanctum of sex magic. Here's the beginning of real Western sex magic. From the days of the crusading Templars to this day, these secrets have been kept inviolate, even though the Church Inquisition and the state persecuted the Templars to the point near complete extinction. The Holy Roman Christian Church had instigated an unchristian war against the Arabs of Jerusalem, unless it is considered Christian, when in the First Crusade on Friday, July 15, 1099, 30,000 Muslims were massacred in Jerusalem before the bloodlust was satiated. It is deemed necessary to recount this unsavory mess in order to explain various incidents between the church and one of the crusading orders, the Order of Knights Templars. Look at this. Although the persecuting inquisitors may have tortured some of the Templars into telling about the Sufi secrets of sex magic, nevertheless, all of this meant only sex perversion to the inquisitors. To this day, it is the same. Although the ideals and practices of sex magic are far more idealistic and spiritually inspiring than the ways of common sexual relations, it is not an uncommon thing for restricted minds to yelp, "Sex magic! That's immoral sex perversion." The Sufi secret workings did not die with the end of the Templars. Y'all with me? Y'all still with me? I'm trying to get to my highlighted points here, if it will allow me. Jeez. Oh my goodness. What is going on here? Look at this. The secret workings of the Sufis were also given to Europe in another way, through alchemy, from the Arabic alchemia, which originated in Arabia but had made strides in Europe as early as the noted Swiss philosopher, physician, and alchemist Paracelsus, 1493 to 1541. There are four kinds of alchemical writings: medicinal, actual chemical and metallic experiments, mystical philosophy, and disguised sex magic. In the writings of the alchemists, there are scores of disguised writings on sex magic, but one must be well acquainted with the subject in order to decode these writings. And this book goes so far into sex magic, okay? Very far into sex magic. All right. What magic is Atlantean? I need in. What magic? Atlantean magic? I'm not understanding your question, to be quite honest. Are you asking what system of magic is Atlantean, or not sure what you're asking? Legacy Sigma. What's up, Cosmic Puzzle Piece? What's the deal? Is time travel possible? Also metamorphosis. All things are possible. And you just found that book. Do you think the great occult masters of old, that some incarnated back on Earth in this time period? I believe Crowley said that he was reincarnated masters of old. Crowley believed he was a reincarnation of Eliphas Levi. So to answer your question, yes. See Avatar. Not the movie Avatar, but The Last Airbender. They explain the avatar and how he manifests constantly. There's a good website, Autoflow for Dreams. Okay. All right. Never heard of Autoflow for Dreams. I haven't either, honestly. Anti-Flow. Oh, Anti-Flow. Okay. For dreams. All right. Gives good dream symbolism. Okay. Crowley was perversion. Not only was Crowley perversion, Crowley also mixed drugs into the mix with sex magic. Okay. Like I said, this book is dope. Like learning magic in all its forms and in every incarnation of it is dope in itself. I still find pure joy and excitement finding new things, even at this stage in my occult career. You know what I mean? But this, I saw not one mention of Pascal Beverly Randolph in this book, not one. And I think that's a damn shame. It is a fucking crime. You know. Oh, which system? Certain systems have, you know, Atlantean elements in them, like the Necronomicon. That's basically the best example I can give you. But certain systems of magic have Atlantean concepts in it. You know what I mean? There's even there's a book called Atlantean Magic that you might want to look into. All right. Pascal Beverly Randolph actually wrote a book on sex magic. Okay. Called Magia Sexualis, a treatise on sexual magic by Pascal Beverly Randolph. This man never got his due. Of course he did. Y'all know why. I ain't even got to say it. You know. And look at this question. Was it a major influence for Franz Barton's initiation into Hermetics? Of course it was. Of fucking course it was. It is held that Madame Blavatsky was a member of his Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor, but later became a lifelong antagonist of Pascal Beverly Randolph over the issue of secrecy in the presentation of occult truths to the masses. It is believed that a document giving in a practical form much of PBR's sexual practices was in circulation among the German magical circles as early as 1868. These practices were most likely passed to Karl Kellner in 1895 when he received a charter to form the OTO. Okay. Look at this. It is reported that NCOS gave a charter for the OTO to function in Haiti in 1910. This order was created in December 1921 and appeared to have the sexual practices of PBR and contain additional Gnostic and voodoo sexual rites. This order, it is reported, continues to exist both in Haiti and Europe and had issued an American charter in the recent past. Okay, see the Voodoo Gnostic workbook for more on that one. Okay. Yet he veiled himself in such impenetrable secrecy that almost nothing about him can be stated as fact. A wealth of myths and legends surrounds this intriguing man, whose personal life was so complex and habits so secretive that we may only guess at the story of his career. Randolph published over 20 books in his lifetime and speaks of his life in many of them, but almost everything he wrote was coded in such a way that it could be understood on several levels. If Pascal's life had a theme, it was love. His personal motto was try, and he signed at least one of his photographs, Stand for the Right. He was an advocate on women's rights long before they had a popular stance, and he was a real pioneer in sexual therapy. He held a strong belief in supernatural forces and was outspoken in his desire to investigate such things scientifically. Yet throughout his life, Pascal Beverly Randolph was persecuted for his progressive thinking as well as for his mixed racial heritage. They stole his shit, and y'all know this. Okay? They stole his shit. I don't care what nobody says, and I will stand 10 toes down on that. Okay? He said magic is a science. It is the only science which occupies itself theoretically and practically with the highest forces of nature, which are occult. It declares and proves that the universe in its totality, as in each of its smallest parts, is subject to certain fluid influences, and that science can prove this, the day that it will, to be the basis of all psychic and physical phenomena. To operate with these forces according to the laws which regulate them, it is necessary, first of all, to concentrate them in a point or on a given surface. One can then guide and channel them at will. Okay? These operations, which are very important and which offer the possibility of many varied realizations, can be made in 4 different fashions. The operator can make use of his own energy proper. 2, he can act with the outer forces by means of induction and of the correspondences. 3, he can bind the outer force to an individual object which has been chosen for this. And 4, he can bind these forces to an object that in general is of the material of his choice. This last procedure has been known for thousands of years as talismanic magic. It is also used for that which is called the charging of volts, which we have spoken of in a preceding chapter. This is magia sexualis. Pascal Beverly Randolph. Okay. You're gonna search for it. I think I have it, Legacy Sigma. I think I have Atlantean Magic. I think that's what it's called. I think that's what it's called. If I find it, I'll just hand it to you. You know how I do. It was written in French. I got my hands on a translated copy. Okay, Nikki Love. I got you. Understood. Warlock wrote one. Namaste. Asim L. What's up? Learned of the great PBR back in 2021. Wow, never heard of this book. Thanks for the clarity. No problem. I am a big student, I can say, of his work. Death, the Disembodiment of Man is one of the best books that has ever been written, and Seer the Duke of Tears speaks about it in that earlier video that I showed to y'all. He speaks about that later on. That video is way longer than I showed y'all. You know what I mean? And then we also, don't forget, I interviewed him 11 months ago, almost a year ago. So he brought up some great points in that interview as well. You know what I mean? You've been given confirmation day with your talks. I appreciate it, Brother Moore. And damn, I am out of time. Do you believe magic has evolved past the practices of Pascal? I believe there's still more work to be done. There's still more studying to be done and more practice. That's what I believe, But in my humble opinion, Pascal laid the groundwork. He wrote so much, but like I said, everything that can help you has been hidden from you. Everything. So take everything from everybody. What resonates, you take. The rest, discard. That's all I can say. That's been my mantra for years now. Okay. You learn from everybody, regardless of they put people's personal information out there for a reason, y'all. Just pay no attention to that. Just get the information. Fuck all the rest of it. See what I mean? Fuck all the rest. Yes, I remember. I'll go back and rewatch the earlier. Oh, yeah, not a problem. Info, not talks. That's the sign of a good teacher. I appreciate that. I am student. Oh, what Warlock wrote, the Atlantean Necronomicon, that's a deep knowledge there. I think you can get it on PDF. I have a physical copy, but yeah, the Warlock's books are dynamite. You know what I mean? I like your question earlier, Legacy Sigma. I do like your question. That's a great question. And thank you for it. When you say, has magic evolved past its teachings? I think there's still just more to be done. There's not enough people actually putting into practice all the things that he taught. They have perverted everything. And so they've perverted sex magic. That's something Crowley did. Crowley ended up broke, penniless, on drugs, suffering from a STD. He combined sex magic, which is a sacred act. He combined sex magic with drugs. That should never mix. You know what I mean? That should never mix. Okay. Y'all know how I feel about Azazel Bay and Asir the Duke of Tears, Bobby. Delbert Blair tells you the truth about the sun and other things. All these people who brought all this knowledge, they are overshadowing it with nonsense like Megan Thee Stallion and all this bullshit. their number one weapon is the TV screen. You cannot now look at, you remember what the actor said, Hawthorne, whatever his name is, said, my office hours are from 9 to 5. You can't look at TV now without seeing two men kiss each other. You know what I mean? And then if you dare say anything about it, you got a phobia. I said what I said, though. I don't care. You know, ain't nobody gonna stuff something down my throat. You know, and we don't have enough people standing up and saying, you know what, I'm gonna think how I think. And if I'm uncomfortable with something, then I'm uncomfortable with it. You know what I mean? People are fearful now. Absolutely, Legacy. I believe that what Pascal may have known, oh, absolutely been hidden. You know, this book is a great book. This A Manual of Sex Magic is a great book. And as a matter of fact, I have so many books. If y'all can see my screen right now, you will see how open my screen is. But I have run out of time, y'all. I got to eat dinner soon. Yes, on another level, for sure. For sure. Yes, exactly. Thanks for joining me, y'all. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I had so much. Maybe next time what I'll do is I'll just start earlier, and then that way, if I go over, I'll still be within the time frame. But I just wanted to take the time and talk about not just Psalmic magic, which is a form of Kabbalistic magic, and hoodoo. I also wanted to talk about sex magic too. But like I said, I'm running out of time. I got some things to do. I will catch y'all next time. All right. Have a great rest of your day and the rest of the weekend. I'll see y'all Tuesday. I'm the one and only, the only one, Magick LaCroix. As I greet you in peace, as I always do, namaste. Peace, y'all.